To order the City Council regular meeting for the City of Wyoming, Minnesota, January 2nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. Member Luker, Member Onstead, Member Schilling, Member Yeager, and Mayor Iverson are present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so tonight we start with the annual meeting. It is the first 7 items on the agenda. We'll start with number 1, designate official newspaper for 2024. Resolution 2024-0104, Chisago County Press. Mr. Linwood, do you want to start with anything, or Mr. McFarland?
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is just, again, one of the annual processes that we do each year. Before you is just the recommendation resolution for the Chisago County Press to remain the official newspaper for the city, just based on last year's decision as well. So it's just the item before you.
Okay, did they change cost or anything? Is it all the same? Let's see, from last year, I think it's the same.
Cost went up, I think, believe slightly on both, but
Okay.
Still the same, where the Times is slightly
Okay.
less than the Press.
And they've done a great job. I think they've done a really good job. All right, any other questions?
Well, I would wonder if we want to go back to the Times, because first, it is cheaper. Second, the presenting reasons last year about us being more Chisago County than Forest Lake, I mean, to be honest, our people go to Target, go to Cub, go to Walmart, all in Forest Lake. And when there is a parade or anything, there's no Wyoming presence at Lindstrom or Chisago City or the county fair. If there is a Wyoming presence or a Wyoming fire truck, it's in Forest Lake on the 4th of July. And that's it. So, given the price difference and the fact that we do most stuff in Forest Lake, I wonder if we should go back to the Times.
I disagree with that. I think they've done a great job representing Wyoming this past year. I have people send me articles all the time, and they're right on it. So I disagree with
right
that.
On
but
what? On the coverage for the Chisago County Press, yes, once we switch to them, our coverage has increased.
yeah, and that's what we wanted. And we are a part of Chisago County and not Forest Lake. But
Whatever.
Member Schilling.
That's my only reason for my approval of the switch last year, is just because it's Chisago County. We're in Chisago County. That's my sole only acting reason. I think it's appropriate that we have the paper of the county that we are in. So.
All right, then maybe we should think about when we're sending a fire truck or something off to a parade, maybe we should think about showing our being more present in Chisago County,
Yeah.
being
Yeah,
in Lindstrom,
yeah.
being in Chisago City, being at the county fair.
Sure, that would make sense.
I agree.
Member Onstad?
Nothing to add.
Okay, and Member Luker?
I also don't have anything to add.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 2024-0101, designating Chisago County Press as our paper.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Member Schilling. Do we have a second? Second by Member Luker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 2, designate official depository for city funds for 2024, Resolution 2024-0102. Mr. McFarland, are you helping us out on that one?
Yes, I will. So, Honorable Mayor and members of the council, again, another annual item before you. The city is just required to designate an official depository. That's where we're going to conduct our banking, and so no information has changed from at least last year or to my knowledge prior years. So, same recommendation, just to remain at the same bank, same
Okay.
depository.
Member Luker, any questions? Member Onstad?
No questions.
Member Schilling?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
No questions.
All right, we need a motion to approve the designated official depository for city funds, Resolution 2024-0102. Do we have a motion to approve? We have a motion to approve by Member Luker. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 3, designate electronic fund transfer and payments for claims, Resolution 24-0103. Mr. McFarland.
All right, our third annual, I believe, item of the day again is just to allow someone, or to, sorry, adopt an electronic fund transfer and payment of claims resolution. Once again, same as previous years, it's just to designate the city administrator and their designees the authority to do so before board approval. And that's just to make sure that we can maintain on top of payments and so forth when needed.
All right, great. Member Onstead, any questions?
No questions.
Member Schilling?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
No questions.
Member Luker?
No questions.
And I have no questions. We need a motion to approve designated electronic fund transfer and payment for claims, Resolution 240103. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Luker. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 4, elect an acting mayor to serve in the absence of the mayor during 2024. Mr. McFarland, do you want to address us on that?
Sure. Once again, this one's fairly self-explanatory. Just in the event that Mayor Iverson were to be absent from a city council meeting, the council does need to name one of the council members as a acting mayor for 2024. So we would be looking for a motion to appoint one of the council members to fulfill that role.
Okay, I move to have Member Luker, she's been acting mayor when I've been gone and has done a stellar job at 7 minutes
Yep.
per
set
meeting.
record.
So,
Thank you.
so, any other nominations for that? All right, if not, I'll make the first motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 5, review council appointments to boards, commissions, committees, and boards of trustees of Fire Department Volunteer Relief Association, Resolution 240104. Mr. McFarland.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the council, you can see in Exhibit A of the resolution just all the assignments for boards and commissions of the council. And so we're just looking for approval on those appointments, and then obviously any comment as needed or changes, let us know.
I think the biggest change on this, if I could say, is that alternate to the sewer commission, number 2. Super important that we have our voice heard there, and so having 2 alternates so we always have representation. So are there any changes or that anybody sees on this that they would like to bring up? If not, we need approval of Resolution 240104. Do we have a motion?
So,
We have a first by Member Schilling, a second by Member Luker. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So approved. Number 6, establishing 2024 regular meeting nights of the City Council of the City of Wyoming and budget calendar for 2025. Mr. McFarland.
Yes, Honorable
Good
Mayor.
practice tonight.
Right? You can see the list before you, the list of dates for regular meetings for the city council. A few changes were made, and those can be seen highlighted in bold, and that's just due to, as listed, presidential primary, the Unite to Unite, and the general election. So we did just move those to, I believe, the day following, just for ease. And then as far as the budget process goes and those dates, those can be seen 2 pages further down on the budget calendar page. And so obviously not here last year, but a lot of those, I believe, were just based off of the dates last year as well, but superimposed to this one, so.
Okay. Member Schilling, any questions?
no questions.
Member Yeager?
I would like to move the July 23rd work session to either July 10th or 15th, so I could be there.
I'm sorry, that was the 10th or the,
15th.
Thank you.
I cannot do the 10th, I already know that.
Yeah,
I can do the 15th.
you could do the what?
I can do the 15th. I can do the 23rd or the 15th, so. But cannot do the 10th.
That doesn't, those days don't work for me either, Linda, sorry.
That's my,
Anybody else?
Either one.
I don't,
The mayor already said no.
I didn't say no, I
He said
just,
the dates do not work for you.
I
Same
don't,
thing.
not really, I'm being nice. So maybe we should do this. Maybe we can adopt this, but maybe can we put something in the motion that that we can revisit that date or something? Or does that, I mean, I'm just trying to be accommodating. I don't know.
If council needs more time to evaluate calendar and want to look at it at a future meeting, we can certainly do that if that's something you'd like to.
Otherwise, we do put it on our agendas, right? Usually, to set the dates. I don't,
This is for the entire, I'm sorry, I'll let-
Oh, nothing, I was just gonna say, I think normally we adopt these, and then if there's an issue or something,
we change them.
we've changed it well enough in advance that we were able to serve notice.
Yeah, does that work?
we can adopt it as is, and then if you want, we can, on the next meeting, we could always talk about that July meeting and look for another potential date for it.
Yeah,
If council wants more time to look at it and try to look at schedules.
and schedules change. So Linda, is that okay?
Do I have a choice?
Guess not, so let's go ahead and adopt it. I move to adopt this budget. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It does pass. All right. Let's see. Number 7, set annual fees for the city services for 2024. Resolution 240105. Mr. McFarland.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, the first meeting, we need to set the fee schedule and approve that. That's a culmination of numerous meetings and just changes throughout the year. And so this is actually a lot less changes than last year, but they've been highlighted in the request for council action before you. And so it's namely the police administration fees, utilities, and the ACH EFT reject fee. And then attached to this memo as well is the redlined fee schedule, and then the finalized one as well.
Okay, perfect. I have no questions. Member Luger?
No questions.
Member Onstead?
No questions.
Member Schilling?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
No questions.
All right, we need a motion to approve Resolution 240105, setting the annual fees for the city services. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Luger. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Well, that was fast. Good job, Mr. McFarland. All right, open forum. There's nobody here. We're just going to move on. Approval of minutes. Number 8, consider approving the minutes of the work session meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for December 19th, 2023. If there are no comments or questions, we need a motion to approve.
So,
We have a motion to approve by Member Luger. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So approved. Number 9, consider approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for December 19th, 2023. Same thing. If there are no comments or questions, do we have a motion to approve?
so moved.
Motion to approve by Member Luger. Second.
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Consent agenda, number 10, 11, and 12. Does anybody wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? You know what, I'm gonna pull 12, because I think Chief Bauer would appreciate that. So we need a motion to approve 10 and 11. I'll move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Schilling. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 12, Chief Bauer, I just want to say thank you really to Maranatha Church for their donation to the Public Safety Fund. What, can you just describe some of the things you can use for that?
Sure. The $1,000 donation does go to our public safety. It's a police donation fund, but it's for public safety. And $1,000 that is used for recognition events, awards dinner, those type of things, and we've used it for those in the past.
Okay, that's awesome.
Very generous donation.
Yeah, very much so. So thank you to Maranatha Church. I'll make a motion to approve 12 on the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Luger. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Acknowledge of receipts of reports of officer boards, commissions, and department heads. We're on number 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Does anybody wish to pull a report? Seeing none, we'll move on to communications. Number 18, Wyoming Police Multicultural Advisory Commission. Chief Bauer, are you going to speak on that?
Yes, please. Mayor Iverson, members of council, you'll have to excuse my voice is disappearing as the day goes on. I just want to touch, this is just a communication to outline a new initiative that I've been looking at over the last month or so. You know, across the board, police departments are looking to do different types of community outreach and engagement, whether it's Coffee with the Cop, Night Unite, these type of events that are ideally hoping to build relationships and develop open dialogue between members of our community and the police departments. And the police department is generally one of the most visible and honestly one of the most powerful aspects of local government. So it's critical that we have these methods of creating conversation to ultimately decision makers can make better decisions along the way. As we look at one of the options that's available, or one of the alternatives that's available to do authentic community engagement is a multicultural advisory committee. And essentially, the Wyoming community as a whole is just 97.8% white across the board. However, if we look at the demographics of the elementary school, we can see that just information I got from the school district today, it's about 14% students of color. So that is a predictor of what our community may look like down the road. Obviously, not everyone stays in the town, but in general, it is an indicator of what our community may look like down the road. The school district itself is about 21%, and I just focused on Forest Lake initially, school district, but understanding that there are other school districts in our area. So as you know, as our community becomes more diverse, one of the ways, and I've been involved with this in the past, and other communities around Minneapolis-St. Paul area have developed multicultural advisory committees. And it's a way for communities of diverse populations to come together and have open dialogue with members of the police department, to establish those relationships, better understand how can the police department better serve, whether it's communities of color and other cultural diversity within our community. I started with meeting with the school district. Dr. Massey from the Forest Lake School District was very willing to meet with me to have a conversation about this. He set me up with a couple of the cultural liaisons that are working with the school district, and had conversations about, is this something that they would be willing to kind of network or establish relationships for me. As I think of over the last 2 years, in general, the interactions that I've had, and even with talking with a lot of our cops, our events, the participants that we have most engagement with outside of, calls for service is different, but in more of these positive environments are pretty monocultural. It's pretty much what you see in the room here. But I was hoping that the school district would be able to put me in touch with families in the Wyoming area that are from different cultural backgrounds. Excuse me. And they initially set me up with one of the student groups, the BIPOC student group, and I went in and had about a half-hour meeting with them. It was a fantastic experience. Just had general conversation with what I'm looking to do, and this committee would essentially be, it's not a commission, it's intentionally called a committee because we're going to have different kind of dialogue. And it's informal. Sometimes it's information that we're going to be sharing with the community. Other times it's asking for input on decisions that we may have to make along the way. The example that I brought up was the license plate readers. We don't have any in town, but if I was going to look to purchase those, they're around other cities. You may not have seen them, but if I was going to purchase these and put them up, what concerns would they have? This was the students that I asked. How can I message this? What things would you want to know about this before I would spend the money to put these out there and create unnecessary conflict about a topic like that? What would you like to know? So this multicultural advisory committee would be a group that I would bring this to say, hey, here's what I'm thinking of doing. I got a grant to pay for these things. How can I message this? What questions do you have? What do you want to know about this? And have that dialogue with them to have that conversation. It was a fantastic experience. The school district is helping to connect me with diverse community members, and we're going to host just an information session towards the end of January. We're confirming dates that will essentially be just an information session to say, here's what we're looking at doing, who's interested, what questions do you have, and establishing a steering committee of hopefully about 5 residents to establish the framework and structure of this group moving forward. I want to thank the school superintendent, has been really supportive of this initiative. He's brought together administrators from schools, all kinds of different people to help me out with this. So I'm just here if you have any initial questions. I can answer those. Otherwise, it was just before we put this out publicly, I want to make sure council and mayor have an idea about what I'm looking at.
Chief Bauer, if there's any type of language barriers, will this group be able to help that? If there's language barriers within the city or whatever, will a group have that, or how do we address those sort of things?
That would be, one of the things they brought up initially was to say, an example of that is that I hadn't thought of was childcare during this initial information session. School district said, hey, have you thought about childcare? It's like, nope. That's why I'm glad you're here to answer that question. So if it becomes something, then we would address that, but that, I had the same thought, because we're looking at, within the school, if I remember correctly, it's about 5% of Hispanic background, so it's very possible. So we would look at what that could look like, or how to make
Yeah.
that happen along the way.
I just remember at one of our planning commission meetings, there was a family, I believe a Monk family, that
Sure.
the older son, I believe, or the daughter spoke really, really well. But, you know, being able to have
Right.
a language person there, regardless of what culture
Yeah,
it is,
absolutely.
would be really nice to
Right.
have. And does this cost any money? Who are you taking out of? Is there time for our police? Are they going out to do it? Whose time is it involving?
Right. Mostly mine, and
Okay.
then also bringing in, so like one session might be talking about use of force. So I would be bringing in one of our use of force instructors, and they get to present on that topic, answer questions, and it's also a way for them to meet this officer in a more casual format. We might bring in, the idea is you bring in your entire department over a period of time. And the idea is that you have a set commitment from the participants, because this trust is difficult to establish if people are just showing up one at a time. One meeting. You need to make a commitment, a year or two, in order to make that happen. So
Okay, and how many, is it for a full year, 12 months?
that's what the steering committee would be deciding.
Okay.
That's kind of part of the idea, is they help create.
Yeah.
I'm just getting it started, but they would be
Yeah.
help creating it. Yeah.
That's awesome. I appreciate those answers. Okay, Member Luker, questions?
I don't really have any questions off the top of my head. I think this is a fantastic idea. I think it is, fits in well with Wyoming Police's kind of tradition of establishing a rapport and building bridges and relationships with the community. And I think, with our BIPOC community, that's, given the times that we're in, that's especially important now. And so, especially in a school setting for students. So I 1000% support this, and I'm really grateful that you're doing it.
Thank you.
So, Member Yeager?
You say this program was used in other communities? All right, so it's obviously an established program
Right.
that you've adapting for our needs. And for the program, what metrics or criteria was used to determine if the program was effective?
Well, I think it's the level of engagement. I don't know that there's a statistical, what are you looking for, statistics, or what are you looking for?
Oh, I'm a scientist, I always look at numbers.
Okay, well, I don't know if this is a quantifiable. I think looking at this as more of a qualitative measurement would be if we get engagement, if we get continued support for this along the way. If you notice changes in how our officers interact with people, I don't know that I can quantify that other than doing surveys along the way, but I don't know that that's the best measurement for this. So I think it is a little bit about how it feels and how things, if you get continued engagement. But I think that's, there's measurements along the way to say, is this effective, and are we meeting the community's needs?
Okay. And that's how you'll measure success, if you meet the community's needs, but it won't be subjective.
I think that's the nature of this work.
Okay. I said I'm very numbers oriented.
Yeah, right. And it is a hard thing to quantify. I don't know that we can send out a survey to say, you could, I just don't know that you're gonna get the engagement to say, how do you feel about the police department? I think that's the basis of this. I don't know that you're gonna get huge engagement. You look at Night Unite, I paid attention this year. Looking around at our Night Unite event, very little diversity in that group. And I just think there's an opportunity here. If we start seeing additional engagement, that's a tell as well.
Okay. Now, you talk a lot about that you're working with the school district. How are you going to branch out beyond the school district?
This is just the initial setup, because the networking is difficult. You know, that is, the idea is to leverage existing groups to say, how do we, you know, because just sending out a, you know, Facebook post or, you know, in our community newsletter, I'm looking for, using the school district to say, I'm looking for targeted, specific groups that we can contact. And the school district has fantastic data. They have more data than they could even show me. I mean, it was pretty amazing how specific they can get with, here's the groups we should be addressing. And they're willing to help me with that communication initially. And then beyond that, that's also part of the steering committee. I don't know. I haven't met any people of color in the last 2 years of being here. That's telling. The school district, by bringing in people to the steering committee, they're able to network better than I can with this.
Okay, so, but the steering committee will basically come out of the district, the school district.
That would be a starting point, yes.
Okay,
Not 100%. It's a starting point,
okay, thank you.
sure.
Member Schilling?
I think that anytime we can actively engage any type of audience, the face-to-face always benefits. The more communication we have face-to-face, I think creates a more comfort zone for a lot of people. I've seen it is successful in other communities as well, including West St. Paul. They do a very similar thing as well, and then we also have a committee for it. So yeah, I think it's a great idea for us. I think it's hard to get people out of their shells, but when you finally make that face-to-face connection and you kind of understand one another, it tends to grow as a community and make things a lot better, more representative. So I'm 100% on board of this. I know we're just starting out, so it'll be great to kind of watch how it progresses.
Member Onsted?
I see this as something that's getting ahead of the curve, being proactive rather than reactive. I've seen programs like this working in, particular in New Brighton and Mounds View.
Right.
And it's fantastic what it does for the community, and I applaud you for doing this.
Thank you.
It's awesome. I've seen a change in my neighborhood, so I'm really glad that you're
Yeah.
doing this.
Thanks.
So, all right, we don't need any set approval on this, am I correct? Just communication? All right, new business, number 19, to consider resolution 240107, a resolution to approve the purchase of one 2024, I was gonna say 20 by 24? Ford Maverick vehicle for the Wyoming Department of Public Safety in the amount of $27,853.16. Mr. Weck, are you gonna advise us on that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, council members. Barn Building Safety is looking to replace our older inspection vehicle with a 2015 Ford Explorer. Has 111,514 miles on it. Replace it with a 2024 Ford Maverick. The price of $27,853.16, and this was budgeted for this year.
That's all you got?
This is the first vehicle I've ever bought.
I know.
Yeah, I'm open for questions.
I know, I realize that in the 8-10 years I've been doing this, I don't think you've ever asked for that. So I know that, wasn't your last one of the public, or the public safety vehicles, or the
Yeah.
last two?
Two squad cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got, right now I've got the former chief's car, and my inspector has one of the
Yeah.
squad cars.
And this design, do you guys, I don't know what you haul in those trucks, so is this gonna be easier for you to, why this particular one?
Well, an SUV would be easier because it'd be totally enclosed, but it's also more expensive. So
Okay.
we're gonna have a tonneau cover, but I carry long probes and soil augers that don't fit too well in the seated area of the vehicle.
Okay.
So that would be part of the things that be carried in the back.
Okay, and this has been budgeted in our 2024 budget, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long will it take to get here? And does this include all of the logos and all the outfitting? you
This would
need?
not include the logos. We would have
Okay.
to do that.
Okay.
The other things I think we can take from the old car, put in the
Yeah.
new car ourselves now.
Okay.
But yeah, it would not include the logos. We'd have to put those on later.
Yeah, okay, perfect. We are on Member Schilling first.
I was just gonna, everything in the packet answered my question initially, so I just wanna make sure you got all-wheel drive. Make sure you put a cover on the back and a locking tailgate, and that's pretty much, oh, and make sure you get the mud maps, or mud mats.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm just speaking from experience.
Yes, absolutely.
Otherwise, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, Member Onstad?
in recent years, we've been having a hard time getting vehicles, particularly Fords. Is this one that we're gonna be able to get right away?
I hope so. There was a cheaper one that they're all out of already, so this is within their stock. I can't think of the.
Yeah, based on the information we received from the Ford state contract, which this is coming from, that this is isn't a demand vehicle as you may see on some of the other ones like the F-150s or the Explorers. So based on our initial communications, I think with that state contract individual, we're hopeful that we'll receive this hopefully in the spring right now is what it's sounding like. So it sounds promising, but once again, we've heard that before. But I think much better probably than our public works equipment and our police, what we've gone through the last few years. This sounds more positive.
Okay.
And this is a vehicle that would have I assume, a 5-year warranty?
Yes.
So, and then on the old ones that we're replacing, those didn't have a warranty, but.
When I got them, they did not have a warranty.
I was gonna say, when you got them, they have duct tape
So-
on
So
them.
true.
Which is part of my repair bill last year was pay the deductible to replace a door that was driven into by someone else.
Realistically, this could save us some money, or at least not spending as much as what it just appears on the
Yes.
final
The
price
mileage
tag.
is much better also.
Mileage
Yeah.
is good. Okay,
Good.
all right, Member Yeager?
Are you planning on dumping it at 100,000 miles?
I hope to take care of it better than the police department abuses theirs, but the police department has a reason to abuse theirs. I might get stuck in a mud puddle. I don't, and hopefully won't be doing
Under-
stop
under-
maneuvers or anything like that with
On our
this.
current CIP, this should be a 10-year vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and Member Luker?
How many mud puddles are we anticipating? I have no question.
How about pit maneuvers?
All right, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 240107 for the purchase of a 2024 Ford Maverick for the amount of $27,853.16. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Onstad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Luker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 20, to consider the hiring of Christopher Hirsch, am I saying that correctly? For the police officer position with a tentative start date of January 15th, 2024. Chief Bauer, your voice is going out on you. Are you
We're all
able to?
good, let's do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's get it done.
As you know, we've had 2 positions that have been vacant. This one has been vacant since December of '22. We went through a ridiculously long hiring process, and after that process, we identified Chris Hirsch as an excellent candidate for the position. He has a bachelor's degree from St. Mary's. He worked for a few months with the Cambridge Police Department, and then worked outside of policing for a few years, but is ready to come back. He was an individual that had specifically seeked our department out from some references versus others that just, are throwing their name in the hat for any department that'll look at him. We're looking at considering he does have some prior experience, looking at him starting at the 6-month pay rate. We are still under the previous contract, so we'd be at that $33.17 an hour. We would be looking at bringing him in to be sworn in at the next council meeting, if that works out for him. And his start date would be January 15th, and we'll get started with his training at that point.
Chief Bauer, is he local? You said
He-
that he kind of came to us.
No, yeah, he actually lives in the South Metro,
Oh,
so a ways away,
Okay.
so he did seek
Yeah.
us out, yeah.
okay, that's awesome.
Mhm.
All right, I have no further questions. Who am I on? Member Onstad,
No questions.
Member Luker,
No questions.
Member Yeager,
No questions.
Member Schilling.
Just a statement. Good.
Yeah, it is,
Thank goodness.
Mhm.
Otherwise, no questions.
thank you.
All right,
Yep.
so I'll move to approve the hiring of Christopher Hirsch. I'll get it right, put some point in time. For the police officer position with a tentative start date of January 15th, 2024. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Luker, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yay, approved.
I like that.
Okay. Council reports, what?
Bugs.
Yeah. Not on the agenda, get them out of here. All right, so council reports, we'll start with Member Yeager.
Well, no report, but I did have a question. Are we gonna go back to brining all the streets?
It depends upon the weather. There are certain circumstances where brine works better than not, but I know our Public Works Department, we had some weather on Saturday, but With rain often, the brine is not as effective, but you will see brine. I know they've been out at least once this year for brine, but probably a better question for Mr. Ketting. I can probably have him respond to the council tomorrow in regards to the times that they're
Okay.
looking to brine and not, but they certainly still have equipment, so the intention would be that, yes, they would still brine. Like I said, I know they have at least once this year already.
Okay, but when they brined this year, they just brined the main streets. They didn't brine the more residential streets, because previously we have been doing that.
I think some of it is dependent upon anticipated snowfalls. I think if we had a more significant snowfall, you'd probably see where they did a complete brining. We've had some pretty minuscule snowfalls, even though I know there has been some slippery conditions, but I think that's more or less why they have done some of the brining on just the mains. Based on that, I don't think you see too many communities that would have been doing things that weren't main
Okay.
events, right? Main.
Because at that time, my concern was it was Halloween, and you had all those little kids going on icy streets. And then today, when I was taking my afternoon walk, I mean, there was this truck coming down Glen Oak, fishtailing.
Yeah, I can't say, you know, I guess over the weekend, I was in multiple communities and you saw mains done and you had frosty snow on most of your residential streets, so I think that's pretty commonplace. If the council wants to look at using a black, you know, policy to change our snow plowing policy, if you want to look at that, where we have a black surface policy, certainly we can do that. It takes much more chemical, much more salt, but that's something we can review if that's
Oh.
what we'd like to see.
Wasn't asking about a black policy, it's more like if we were going to brine some more, or just to,
Yeah, I
get the
think,
snow off.
I think once again, I
Keep the
think it's
snow
more or
off.
less been based on the amount of accumulation anticipated that they do and do not. I can have Mr. Ketting
Okay.
follow up with the council on that.
because I know in our last, on the weekend snowfall, it appears that the mains were done,
Mhm.
and there was no snow plow on any of the side streets,
Correct,
yeah.
correct. Yep. That was
Okay.
this demands based on the accumulation we received, yep.
Okay, that's all I'm
Okay.
curious about, thank you.
All right, Member Schilling?
No report.
All right, Member Onstead?
No report.
Member Luger?
So no report.
I have none either. I just want to wish everybody a happy 2024 into the new year and looking forward to what this council can and will be doing going forward. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned at, I don't know, 7:10.